Okay, I will just go and check. Um, I'm just trying to check quickly if it is there. Otherwise, because the live streaming has started. Okay, yes. So the live streaming has started. We would like to now introduce what is Veg Spoons. So Veg Spoons was founded in April 22. Yeah, yes. So Prabhuji, it has started. Uh, yeah. So it was Veg Spoons was founded in April 22. Sorry. Veg Spoons was founded in April 22 to promote and find pure veg food businesses. It's a growing community of veg food lovers having 10.5K strong FB group. We promote veg food businesses and veg food products and recipes. We do discussions and recommendations and various type of events. We are very good blessed to have all of you as part of our growing community and supporting the veg businesses. So we have Prasannatma Das Prabhuji with us today to take us through very key aspects of being vegetarian related to the spiritual, health, environment, well-being. Who is Sri Prasanatma Das Prabhuji? Sri Prasanatma Das Ji is a priest and a teacher of spiritual aspects, expounding on Krishna consciousness, serving at temples of ISKCON in North Sydney, Gokula Farm, Cessnock, and have contributed to many other ISKCON temples like in US. He has practiced horse riding since his childhood, being a member of the Madras Polo and Rider Club. Sri Prasanatma Das Ji is a licensed pilot from the Madras Flying Club. Shri Prasanatma Das Ji migrated with his wife in 1992 to Australia and worked for 2 decades with Fujifilm Australia. He is also a technologist and working in the IT space. He has a master's in e-commerce and MBA from the Macquarie University in Sydney. Shri Prasanatma Das Ji has performed many ballets and spiritual dramas at many venues, including ISKCON. He has studied zoology, botany, and many other subjects. Shri Prashnatama Das Ji is a multi-skilled, very humble and down-to-earth, always available to share his knowledge, experiences and learnings with everyone. He also take spiritual classes at many of ISKCON centers with the aspiring youth and others. With this note, I would like to hand over this to Prashanatma Das Prabhu Ji to take us through some of the topics. Prabhuji, you are on mute?
Sorry, I will repeat that again. Thank you very much, Rohit Prabhu, and also to all of you who are present here. It is a very great honor to be speaking about vegetarianism in its vastness to all of you. And as you know, I have a spiritual background, having been connected with ISKCON. I'm a Krishna devotee, and that is my primary function, even though I work for a living within the material world, in the business world. But business and work is not what we have all been coming down to earth for. We've not been born here for that purpose. We've been born for a much, much bigger purpose. Not just me, but all of us. Everyone has a purpose. And the earlier we realize that and we follow that path, the better it would be for us down our life and through our life. So, starting today mainly with vegetarianism, I will come to the spiritual aspect later. I will first look at what is basically called vegetarian diet. So, we will discuss possibly. I've noted down some points, aspects of science, the science of vegetarianism, and that leads us to a lot of botany and zoology, which actually I studied when I was a young person right after my high school. At that time, my parents wanted me to become a medical doctor, and that is just because I used to be the first aid person at home. So they thought this guy is going to be a doctor. But to be a doctor, you need to study a lot of things, and more than anything, the most important, one of the most basic things that you do is you go to the zoology lab or the botany lab, mainly the zoology lab, and you're given specimens of small creatures like cockroach and frogs or rats, and they are kind of semi unconscious, and you will have to dissect them and understand the entirety of this. I did it for a bit. I did it for about a year, and I just couldn't take it any further. I said, "This is killing, and I'm not meant for this. If this is the way I should become a doctor, I'd rather not." So I went on from there to England to study telecommunications and electronics, microelectronics and computers in the late 70s. And so that part of the zoology and botany has come to use when I am in my garden trying to grow a particular plant or tend to a particular animal, whether it's wild or a tame one. I've been, as Rohit mentioned, I've been a horse rider. So it is an interesting thing to be with an animal like a horse. I think Srila Prabhupada, who is ISKCON's founder, Acharya, was once asked which is the most magnificent animal, the most noble animal. And although Prabhupada is a Krishna's wonderful devotee, he did not bring mother cow into the picture. He said it is the horse. So that is how he differentiates. And we asked about the cow. He says the cow is our mother because she gives us milk. And so there's a differentiation in that way. So science is one thing we will talk about. And then we will also talk about health. Most people would say that vegetarian diet is healthy. So let us kind of go into that and see in what aspects it brings up that health in people. To grow all these animals as they are, especially cattle, cows, sheep, goats, any other creatures. In Australia, people even eat kangaroo meat. So the kangaroo is not that nice little creature that keeps jumping around that people have flying on the Qantas tail of an airplane. They eat this animal too. Some people almost eat anything that crawls, walks, jumps, swims, flies. So some interesting discussion there for us. But to have all that, there is an impact. There's an impact on the environment. And today, if you go anywhere, they will talk to you about sustainability of things, whether it's organization or how we go about life to make sure that carbon sequestering is done, and then global warming and all the things that they talk about. So a little bit of environment aspects also play a part when we talk about vegetarian diet. And there is, of course, questions. I think there was a question even here asked about what about protein and iron and things that sportsmen need. Not everyone is doing the same job. Some are teachers, some are sedentary in a seat, some are running around, and some are doing really physically demanding jobs. So for such people, you do need, more of this iron and protein. And they say, do you get that in vegetarian diets? People talk about having red meat for getting iron, and then eat any sort of meat to get the amount of protein that is needed. So we'll discuss that also and see, does a vegetarian have a problem in that area, or what do they do? But how do they get it otherwise is also a question. Finally, we'll come to spiritual aspects. Spiritual is quite large. It's not necessarily tied to one aspect of spiritual or any religious purposes. It is uh, our very existence is spiritual, because we are all spiritual souls. We are eternal souls. This is what I've been taught, and as a member of ISKCON, we go through a lot of classes. We study a lot from the great gurus who either stay here or visit us, or even a Param Guru, the founder of ISKCON, who is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We have lots of material on spiritualism, and I hope we will have some time to discuss about those aspects also. And also, this is of course a start. We will definitely have a time to discuss most of them much more. So starting off, what is vegetarian? The word vegetarian, tarian is a aspect of, being something, tarian. Veggie, veggie means vegetation. Vegetation means plants. So if they say there's a lot of vegetation here, they actually mean that this place is forested, this place is woody, has got a lot of plant growth. And so the word veggie itself means only a plant. There is no scope for even bringing anything of an animal matter in veggie. In fact, milk. Where does milk come from? Milk comes from cow. Milk is, of course, taken by many, probably avoided by some people who have an intolerance to milk. But in general, milk is consumed very widely and is very nourishing. So, um, while we say vegetarian and we drink milk, we're not necessarily vegetarian. We are called lacto-vegetarians, which means you have the milk added to your vegetarian diet. So when you say vegetarian, you don't take it as you can be drinking milk, or some people have call it dairy, and dairy they include even eggs. Where does the egg come from? It comes from chicken. So again, egg is actually the embryo of a little chick. It's supposed to grow from that. So when we say vegetarian, we cannot include eggs and milk or anything that comes from anything but plants. So it's supposed to be plant food. So we will now talk about eating the appropriate foods, be it animal or plant food. Now, both are life. So when somebody says, why are you squeamish? Aren't you guys going and chopping a lot of trees and plants and then consuming it? Don't you feel that you're also, taking away a life form? For that, we have to see how these things are created, how a plant is made, and how an animal is created or creature is created. We are also a kind of an animal, because we too have, just like the cow, the dog, the cat, any other mammal, even birds, for example, we look very similar to them in many ways. In sense, we also have a head, a body, and legs and hands. They too have their appendages. They have mouth, nose, eyes, ears, or in terms of even a snake, it's got a long body. And what differentiates these two is that plants do not exhibit so much of a visible consciousness. that we see that like animals do. When you get close to an animal, be it a horse or a cow or even a dog or a cat, they exhibit qualities. They exhibit, dogs can show you affection. Even cats can come, even though the cats are a little bit different from dogs, they do show affection. You can even see mice. Some people have mice, and even though they are so tiny, they have some sort of a reaction to people, showing that they have a life and that they have a mind of their own, and that they have some desires, and that they're kind of reacting to this world. Now they have life, and they want to live their life. Even an ant, mosquito, a fly, any creature that you dread, something like a scorpion, perhaps, it might, if you go near it, or a snake, they could harm you because out of fear. They do this only because they are afraid that we may harm them, because they have known that the way these creatures have lived, it's the food chain. One creature goes after the other creature, taking it to be its food chain. It just wants to consume something to get its energy. And instinctively, they go after creatures that they think they can get hold of and consume. Now, even in the animal world, if you see some of these creatures, say, for example, a lion. When a lion gets a deer or an antelope or any other creature in the forest, in the jungles or the savannas, or maybe in parts of Africa, they actually get hold of the animal and go and try to first hold its breath down, hold its neck down, stop its breathing, and kill it. They first want to kill the creature. They don't eat it alive. These are very higher carnivores. The tigers, the lions, the bears, they all tend to go for the jugular. They get hold of the place near the mouth. Even buffaloes, the lions can get hold of buffaloes, which are about 3-4 times or their size and weight. But even to those creatures, they make sure that the buffalo is pushed down and they snuffle the life out of it. And then they consume it. But not all creatures are so, kind, in the sense they will wait for the death of this creature. The eagle, for example, will come down and swoop on a lamb, small lamb, or a rabbit, and will just take it away. In fact, once it gets to its nest, it will shred it with its talons and with its beak, and take the life of the creature away. The other thing is a vulture. A vulture actually waits for someone to die. He sees that the person is going to be so weak, never comes to the person till the person is dead. And then it just consumes it, because all it is, its job is that of a scavenger. So these creatures, for example, and the other creature I'm thinking about is a dog. There are wild dogs in the forest. The wild dogs, again, are very much like the eagle. They don't wait to kill the animal. They're not that noble. They're not noble. They rip apart various parts of this creature, and you can see that part of its body has been taken off. It is still alive. It's still breathing, because they have not touched its head as it. The breathing continues, and it can see, it can feel the pain. Perhaps there is no pain because of the fear that has set in, and certain hormones have already been sent out into the bloodstream that they don't know. The only difference I'm trying to bring here with these 4 examples, there are many more, but for the sake of time, I would say Human beings are the most intelligent of the entire living elements of species of this world. And human beings having intelligence can discern what is food and what should be eaten, and have a lot of science behind to tell them what is supposed to be the food that should be eaten and what need not be eaten. In fact, many people don't eat their dogs, they don't eat their cats, they pet them. But if it is a goat or a cow, many have no qualms. They don't, even if it's a pet cow. And I saw once in Sydney, there was this Easter show. A young boy was growing this little cow from when it was little as a calf. And the child had a lot of problems when they were trying to take away this cow so that it could be sent to slaughter. Now, many don't see the slaughter. They only go to the supermarkets and buy this well packaged, food, which formerly was actually an animal, and was a living animal, which had feelings, which was having consciousness, exhibited qualities of love, of expectations, had qualities of fear, and yet was having conversion of the food chain in it. So when I talk about food chain, let me now take you to the plants. What happens to plants, and why were plants created in the first place? They were created. So bringing a little bit of spiritual and thing aspect into it, we were all created. We were not kind of formed by some chemical elements coming together by chance, and then that chemical suddenly became life. No, it didn't happen. If you see the DNA of any person or any animal, any creature, any plant, within the cells, they have the chromosomes, the DNA. DNA is such a complex thing that the entire skies with the stars and the planets and everything will seem very different. They're in a large sense, when right here we go to the other extreme, the micro sense, and you see that these things, the DNA is such a massive plan and design, which actually dictates how the entire plant or the body or animal is completely formed. So plants were just created, and they were created with a purpose. Their purpose was that of a miner. We have heard of miners in Perth, where they dig into the earth for oils, for minerals, for iron, for copper, and so many other elements that we get, the commodities that we get from under the earth. So how do we get what is under the earth? A lot of minerals are there, and the one way of getting those minerals out in a form that can be available to all of us is what a plant was made for. Plant was made for going with its root deep down into earth, pulling all these materials together, forming its own leaf structure, taking energy from the sun, consuming water that is mixed with many of these minerals, and then forming its own body, and then coming to a point when it starts giving out a flower and getting itself pollinated, because it wants an exchange of elements. Now you see how much of science has been put into how these vegetation were created, and not not just one type of plant with one green color. There were many plants with many varieties, bringing many different ways of flowers, flowers that are blooming at different times. Some in winter also, some in summer, some in spring, some even in autumn. That you have flowers coming at different times, and you would wonder if the plant thought that it could get pollinated only when there's sunshine, when there's bees in activity. What happens in a cold, wintry day? Why is this flower blooming? Because it's going to take a particular help from, say, a fly or a creature that is going to come and help it at that particular time. So they have this exchange. A plant, you think a plant has no intelligence. We can't see it behaving in a way. We a creeper, a leaf, a plant, the way it's formed, the way it looks at sun to get its energy. We would think it doesn't know much. But a plant produces the flower, and the flower becomes a fruit. The fruit has seeds in it. And there are many, many types of fruits and many, many types of seeds. And the many, many varieties of the way the seeds will be propagated for the one purpose, to be given a new life. A young plant has to be born. And trees, many trees, live for hundreds of years. They have a very long life. Some plants, like the bean creepers, they only live for about 3 months. They give you plenty of beans in that period, and then they die away. But there are flowers that bring seed. You keep the seeds aside for the next plantation that we do when we do cultivation. But in nature, there are some seeds that even have feathers in them, and they fly. And they fly further away from the mother plant. And sometime back, Columbus, when he was sailing, some of his sailors told him, don't go to the edge of the water. We're going to fall over. The earth is flat. We don't even know how big the earth is. How did this mother tree know that its seed has to go far away, and so it makes it a feather in the wind, flies away? Just think about it, to comprehend how these were designed. Now, to pollinate these two, for life to be formed, everywhere there's a gift. For a human being, for an animal, going between a male animal and a female, or a male human and a female human, they have some gifts in between so that they can procreate. There's always a gift for procreation. And whoever gives that gift, gives that element for the creation, for the formation of the two cells to join, is actually given a gift. And so is the gift given even to a flower. The flower gives the gift not to another flower. It actually gives it to the bee, which does the job. Give me the pollen, and I can form my new fruit. See the designs. And so the plant was designed in a way that will have a life. It will have a fruit. A mango, for example. You take a mango, when it's ripe, you eat it. What do you get inside the fruit? You get a seed. And what does the plant want you to do? Enjoy the fruit. Makes it as tasty as possible. And you take the fruit and you peel it out, get the little seedling inside, plant it, and new tree comes. And the plant is happy that it's creating another plant. Life is created. And you are happy because you got a gift. Did I not tell you? Everything, there is a gift. For procreation, for creating, there is a gift for the person who is helping do that job. And when we see a plant allows you to take these things and eat them. Even leaves of the plant. You take some of the leaves, new leaves come. The plant doesn't die. Whereas in animals die. If you go and see a cow being killed, slaughtered, especially Australia, New Zealand, England, America, maybe Indonesia. Indonesia actually imports cows from Australia. These animals don't want to go there. They try to pull back, and they prod them with sticks, push them in, and then they go in, and then they're shot. They'll call them mercy killing. Even SPCA allows it. Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. They allow it. Now think of us. If we were in a land of cannibals and they decided, okay, all you 100 people over here, today you will be the food for the thousands others, what will happen? You will start knowing what it is for a portion of your flesh to be given away. The flesh is supposed to be having full of iron and protein, which one thinks they need to consume to live a life. Right. You need protein. Yes, I would say somebody like a sports person, cricket people need a lot of energy to hit the ball. Um, People like Djokovic, tennis player, uh, Virat Kohli. Someone was asking me for examples of sports people's diets. These are all people who gave up eating non-vegetarian and taking on a vegetarian diet. I think when they were asked, they had a reason saying that some of the enzymes that were in animal matter were giving them sickness, and that they were getting allergies and other problems that were preventing them to actually become a good sports person. So you realize now on the health side of things, there is a lot of problems. If you take red meat, for example, and I was given some material to read, especially for the scientific material, because if you go and Google it, you might get a lot of stuff which you really can't say for 100% that you can trust it. Um, they they have a lot of studies that have been done, peer reviewed, to make sure that it is the right material and there is nothing false about it. So I would suggest those deeply interested in understanding more of these sort of things to read up some of those materials. I think Ravi's, who's on the call here, would also, is a dietitian. He would be able to speak much more on that on a later date. But yeah, coming back to this, they say that one cow, and I may be not perfect in the number here, but they can make 400 slices of meat out of one cow. So how many cows would you need if you need to have 400 of them? So probably you need, for a population of 7 billion, which is currently our population on Earth, you need at least 17 million and 500,000 cows to be slaughtered per day globally. I think you can make your calculations, you can check it out. But whatever the number, it doesn't matter. This is a number of creatures that need to be killed. And if you're talking about squeamish, because most Hindus, they don't go after touch a cow because cow is considered holy. Cow is considered as mother, because why? Because she gives us milk. Even as adults, we drink milk. So children, when their mothers can't provide a mother's milk, they are given cow's milk. So we consider the cow very much as a mother. And so some of the people who do eat meat then go to eat lesser animals, considered lesser animals, like a goat or a sheep. And some feel they wouldn't want what is called red meat because the blood is red. They would go after chicken. So if you say the sheep per day, there should be about 5 million sheep. Rough estimate, not very conservative estimate, per day to feed the population. And chicken probably 2.5 billion, because I guess chicken can be shared. Nobody eats an entire chicken. I don't know really how much of a chicken one eats, but somebody can say that. And eggs again, eggs are not vegetarian. But you go into some airline, they would tell you Hindu vegetarian in an airline as a meal, they would give you eggs. And if you don't want eggs in your meal, you would have to say that you want to have Asian vegetarian. And Asian is, Southeast Asian, Chinese, Malaysian, Singaporean, Vietnamese. Though they're considered Asian, and their vegetarian has no eggs. It is really vegetarian. And here's where you differentiate between today's real vegetarian is called vegan. Because if you go to a vegan place, you know for sure that they will never give you any additives. They won't give you any animal matter, which is milk or eggs or anything else. So, but the reality is vegetarian, and it was mentioned in the earlier days before the vegan culture started. Vegetarian meant vegetarian. And if you drink milk, you're called a lacto-vegetarian. You add those terms to it. Yeah, I'm a vegetarian, but I'm a lacto-vegetarian. I drink milk. So this number which I told you of the number of creatures that were killed for providing a daily food of meat is very conservative. It would be much, much larger if people had more money. The world, there's so much of poor people in the world. They don't eat meat only because they can't afford it. If somebody was to give it to them, yeah, perhaps they will take it. And so if you had to give it to them, they would have to do it. So I spoke to you about what a plant does. It has a root. The root goes underneath the ground and brings all the material up. And that plant is the first material or first vegetation that was actually meant to actually provide food. Animals ate plants, cows, other herbivores, elephants, giant elephants. You'd wonder, how did they get so much of strength? Horses are so strong. They carry people into the war field. Elephants do. Cows, goats, all of these are ones who eat grass and vegetable matter. But they consume them because they have got enough iron, enough protein, enough everything from this diet. Earthworm has intestine. Fish has intestine. They're all creatures. I mean, I'll jump through the next topic. I just touched a bit on sports. So the other thing is the environment. I'll jump on the environment for just next 5 minutes. I think near about 7:46. We have about 14 minutes more to go before we can go into a Q&A session. So environment, Earth, Mother Earth, and only now we can talk only about Mother Earth. We can't talk about Mars, Moon, any other planets. They're still exploring how to go there and probably exploit them for whatever they have. But at the moment, we have to talk about Mother Earth, which provides us everything. There's 2/3 water, the oceans, the 2/3 water, lakes, rivers, and everything else that are flowing, and 1/3 of land. And in this, 29% of Earth is the surface of the Earth is about 29%. And more than anything else, there is about 13 billion hectares. I made some notes just the evening just to try and figure out how to bring ourselves into an understanding of what is the size of land available for various things. And there is an organization called the Food and Agricultural Organization, which says that agricultural land is about 4.8 billion acres out of a total land that is only 13 billion hectares. And 1/3 is used for agriculture to grow crops. And the rest, 1/3 agriculture to give crops. And the rest, 2/3, is actually used for cattle grasslands. Some of them are deserts, non-usable due to the soil condition, the elevation, no sunlight, various factors, salt in the soil perhaps, that you can't use that land. And here, what is this land used for? Mainly for production of animals to be slaughtered as meat. So for cows to eat grass, and they just don't only eat grass. Some of them are grass and leaves, 46%, fodder 8%, crop residue, for example, sugarcane. When the sugarcane is actually a cane that is put through a mill and it grinds it into a liquid, sugar, a liquid, and they dry that liquid to make it sugar. The thing that is left behind, the molasses, And banana leaves, for example, when they've taken off the fruits, unlike India, most Western countries don't use the banana completely. Most of it is put back for cows and other animals to eat. And grains, some are grain fed, if you know. In the milk bottle, they'll tell you these are grass fed milk, not grain fed. So, whatever reason they want to make sure that you drink that milk. Um, just telling about the milk before I forget. Um, some people have intolerance for milk, even for milk. It's not pure milk. The problem is when the cow is fed, whatever it's fed, and they give injections to antibiotics, perhaps they give injections, perhaps for better yield and stuff like that. This percolates into the bloodstream, and the bloodstream goes into the udders to make the milk. And it's known that if a mother, while she gives birth, a human mother giving birth, is given certain elastins, to make her a little more flexible to give birth. This gets into the child once the child is born, and he starts feeding on mother's milk, consumes that milk. So all these antibiotics go into this new baby. It goes into anyone consuming these milks. The hormones come into us, and suddenly we have children. The short parents have tall children. So these things happen only because of this sort of a imbalance in feeding the wrong things to these creatures. They want better meat production, perhaps. So they have scientific ways of giving this hormone and that hormone that the cow yields more. Bigger is better for these guys to make their money. But that is why they talk about organic foods. Why would organic foods have any meaning? In India, everything is probably organic because our fruits in India are very small, isn't it? Compared to fruits in the Western countries are much bigger in size, but bigger is not necessarily tasty. You don't get the taste that organic fruits or vegetables give us. So it's important that we consider that to keep these animals alive, and I think the slaughter time is 26 months when they're 26 months old, about little over 2 years, and till that period they have to be fed, and it costs them lot of water, lot of all these foodstuffs and everything. And now I'm coming to probably a little bit of topic that I'm sure Ravi can speak much better than me, but you might have to wait for the next session with him on that particular topic. But there was a question I think somebody asked about protein and iron, and whether it's there in a vegetarian food diet that meets the requirements and things. And I'm told, and I've read some of the manuals that mentioned it, saying that all the plants together, when you eat them in a variety, so for example, you eat legumes, soy milk, and soy yogurt, tofu, nuts and seeds, grains and vegetables, legumes like chickpeas, split beans, baked beans, brown rice, buckwheat, polenta, quinoa. You do quinoa when we do, Ekadasi fasting, we do quinoa. So it seems there is so much of it available that the RDI, the recommended daily intake, is met. So if somebody wants more iron and more protein than that, actually the body says, I'm going to now give you a problem. So some of these things like cancerous developments happen when we overload the body more than the body's RDI is needing. So should keep it in mind. And what exactly are you trying to do? Okay, if you're trying to do a manual labor type of job, which most of us don't, today we have machinery to do those jobs. We are not living like our ancestors. We're not plowing the fields. We're not running after animals to catch them and eat them wild. We're actually wanting to catch that animal or not, buy the animal, cook it, and then eat it. So that's why we are supposed to have canines. But tell me, is any canine sticking out of our mouth? Like, for example, a saber tiger or something? No. That means we're not supposed to be really eating meat. Although somebody can say, oh, you We are omnivores. We are supposed to eat both. Yeah, but the type of meat people eat is cooked meat. And I was talking to a person who was part of, who's now part of a temple, was very much a non-vegetarian person. Just can't live without his non-veg. And he transformed himself completely and would not touch any meat. And he said, even before you spoke to me about vegetarian things, I had already started thinking my health is not really good eating this thing. It's giving me sicknesses, allergies, for example. Even Virat Kohli, I think, he said he was getting allergies, and he preferred to go on a vegetarian diet so that he can continue to become a good player. Said, I have all the energy to play. Hitting a six is a matter of, you know, being smart with the bat, more skill set, than really taking and slamming it wherever it has to go. So less protein, even the protein that comes from all these things, um, less of cholesterol, less of heart disease. What it says, this particular scientific manual says, you have to eat diverse. So I was talking to Ravi in the evening, and he was telling me, no, people go to a restaurant and probably and talk about Indian food, for example, and they say, I want 2 masala dosas and 2 of that, and every day at lunchtime the same thing, no variety. So the masala dosa is probably got rice and a little bit of lentil, and it's got potatoes, green chilies and stuff, and that's all. And then you expect your body to be well off? No, you got to have a rounded diet. Rice, brown rice one day, white rice perhaps another day, maybe split beans, chickpeas, grains, have some nuts, have some fruits. Even we're told eat 5 different fruits, it's good for you. So where do you get iron? Iron, I was talking to somebody and I said, you're pure vegetarian, but you're very much, your iron is very high. What do you eat? Oh, spinach, kale, avocado, broccoli, beetroot, mint, dates. Dates are so nice. Just 2 dates per day. Eggplant, apple, ragi, curry leaves. And then it sings moss, moss that grows on rocks, for example. That moss has a lot of iron. And if you want iron supplements come from moss. You don't need to get iron supplement by somebody killing a cow or a sheep or something, taking out certain iron material and packaging it. You don't need to. You can get it from vegetarian diet itself. And I think I just have about few minutes left about the spiritual aspects. And now we'll talk about what Krishna said. Krishna in his Bhagavad Gita, when he's talking to Arjuna in the battlefield, well, they were killing people. Killing his own uncles, cousins, grandfather Bhishma. Arjuna couldn't even face Bhishma. He told Krishna, Krishna, I can't. This is my grandfather. You want me to kill him? And Krishna told him, don't worry. I am telling you, when Krishna, who's God, Supreme Lord, tells you, you just do it. He says, I have already got his soul with me. I'm taking it. I want you to just finish, because he was on the side of Adharma. And the battlefield, Krishna was teaching him other things. And he asked him, how do I manage to serve you better? He said, when you make an offering to me, whatever you do, whatever offering you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give away, whatever austerities you do that as an offering to me. And what would you do to offer me as food? Patram pushpam palam toyam. Yo me bhaktiya prayachade tadaham bhaktiyahu pratam yasnami prayatatmana. He says, if you offer me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water, if you're not that rich, just offer me water. Usually take the water from wherever it is and offer it to me. That's it. Only these 4 items you can offer Krishna. God, he says, only offer this. He never said, go and catch hold of that goat, chop its head off and bring it to me. They used to do it in the Vedic times. Even today, some backward temples where there are no brahmanas to govern the place, they do all this killing, thinking that the demigod, which is there, probably a Devi or any other deva who they want to please, saying that, save my son, but I'll kill a goat for you. No. Krishna says, do you want mercy from me? If you want mercy, what mercy have you shown? Without you showing mercy to that creature, you cut that creature. I don't want the blood of that creature. I just want patram pushpam palattoyo. So, for somebody who is going to eat food, if they can eat prasadam, what is prasadam? Prasadam is the remnant of nevidyam which is offered to the Lord. You get that, and you, after he has, cited it, Krishna is not there in front of you as a deity form, chomping away at anything. You offer it. Everything comes from him. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhuvo. I'm the Lord of everything. Sarvam matha pravartade. Everything emanates from me. And then offer the same thing to whoever, want to consume food. When you do that, there is no sin. Because people will ask, if an animal is sin, if you say killing an animal is sin, what about a plant? Plant also has life. Didn't I say the plant had at least the intelligence or the created intelligence for it to take the seeds away to a far distance to bring it up again? Did I not say that the tree lives and lives and lives for hundreds of years? We don't kill the tree. We just take the fruit, the leaves, some of them, not everything. Consume and thank the fruit. But before you do that, you take the fruit, the leaf, the tree or anything and offer it to Krishna. When it goes to Krishna, he takes away the karma away. There's no karma. Then you take the food from Krishna, not from the tree. You already given it to Krishna. Now you're asking Krishna, can I have the plant, please, for my consumption, for my family, for my people? Yes, there is no sin. But you can't give an animal. You can't take a chicken and say, Krishna, this is my offering of a chicken. Let you consume it by your side. Then give it to me, I'll eat. No. He doesn't allow that. It is not in the scriptures. So, sometimes Srila Prabhupada said, why don't you wait for the animal to die? And then it offers its body. If you so badly want to eat it, eat it. But why do you want? In any case, your intestines, your stomach, why should it be, a crematorium or a burial ground? Why do you bury dead bodies inside your body? So, having said that, we should think of not having karma and stick to a vegetarian diet. I think we'll stop here. If there's any questions, any of the aspects that we discussed, I would attempt to try and respond to that.
Hare Krishna, Prasannatma Das Prabhuji. Thank you so much for such an enlightening session, for covering so many different aspects of our vegetarian food, life, and others. If anyone have any questions, please, you can mute yourself and Prabhuji will take them through. We also have some questions from our members. Then in the end, we can go through those as well. Please raise the hand and then you can unmute yourself and then you can ask your question.
Love to hear from you. If it's not a question, you can even share your thoughts. That'll be also fine. You can even say if this class was just hopeless or it had some meaning.
Hello, I have a question. Not a question, but this is, I'm thinking this, I'm Jalpa. I am a pure vegetarian. I don't get egg, gelatin, nothing. Now we're living in such a country where we are surrounding with the lots of kids. It's more about our kids and the people who argument that okay, Vanaspati is also Sajiv. Okay, so I try to understand my daughter this way that if you take it out any seed of those plants and you put it in the ground, it will grow again. But if you
Yes.
kill the animal and then if you try to put it again, it's not gonna grow because
Yeah.
there where I can argue that you can make the another fruit or a life from the vegetables, but you cannot do with the animals because I
That's
come
correct.
across yes. So what you are there because I come across lots of videos. I was trying to search. It says the God made a vanaspati, the plants, which has a less feeling than the animal who doesn't scream. But still, it's that argument comes that doesn't matter. It's still alive.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes,
do you
absolutely.
have any other opinion to argue with that? Why? Because this is the one I found, which is has a practical and the logical. The other people understand that if I cut the mango and put
Yeah.
that seeds in the ground, it will grow.
Yeah.
Or if you are come with the root, it will grow again. But if I kill the
Yeah.
any pig or any cow and just put her bones or legs, it's not gonna grow again. Do you have
That's
any
correct.
other way to explain that part of it?
Yeah, that's the exact thing. The many of the plants, but some plants,
Yes.
you do take it in a way that it doesn't regenerate again.
Okay.
So there are plants. So in such a case,
Yeah.
the only way, as I mentioned, for you to not commit sin
Right.
by taking the plant is to offer that plant to Krishna.
Right.
Because he says, Patram, Pushpam, Palam, Toyam. You can offer me all these 4 items. And once it is offered to him, you don't have the karma.
Right.
You don't suffer. Because Krishna has taken that suffering away. He has said that, okay, plant, I will give you a better life. Because I want this human to eat this portion of your plant. He may not be able to regenerate. But of course, the seeds, possibly, you keep some seeds away for regeneration.
Yeah.
The plant is happy that
Yeah.
it has another 10 plants, 20 plants, 100 plants have been come out from that mother plant.
Yeah.
And it says, the rest of my body, take it, you eat it.
Right.
I'm finished anyway.
Yeah.
But only after offering to Krishna.
Okay.
Then you take it back as prasadam and eat prasadam. Anybody who is eating not that is prasadam is committing sin, whether eating vegetable or non-vegetable.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you for that very nice question. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a very meaningful question.
Thank you.
I think there are other questions that you might want to bring up to Rohit Prabhu. There was a question from Komal Mehta. She said, simply by consuming protein, whey concentrate, and protein whey isolate, which is made from yogurt, one can achieve total protein requirement beside our legumes like beans, peanuts, rajma, chickpeas, etc. So I think she's made a statement. I'm not sure there's a question there. Yeah. So is there a question there?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I have just sharing the slide now where we have
Yeah.
captured some of the questions. If any of the participants here, you have any questions, you want to discuss something, you want to give feedback or opinion, feel free to raise your hand, or you can also send a message in the chat section. So the first question is by Komal Mehta. Given the focus on protein-rich diet these days, how do vegetarians cope up with the protein in requirement?
Yeah, as I said, those materials that are having a lot of protein in them, I'll read that out from my notes, which I just created this evening, saying that all plants have some protein. Okay, all plants have protein, but some have more, some have less. Protein is actually the hard cover. Most of the skins of things are protein. Inside the flesh may be carbohydrates and things like that, fats. But the flesh, the harder portion is actually protein. You got to eat some of those portions also. For example, when you eat an orange, you love the inside of the orange, but the peel you throw away. If you eat even the peel, making it into marmalade or something, there's much of protein. And legumes, soy foods, soy milk, soy yogurt, tofu, all nuts and seeds. There are walnuts, there's almonds, cashews, um, you know, pistachios. Especially if you're in Australia, these things are so widely available and they're even very cheap. Chickpeas, soy peas, split beans, baked beans, brown rice, buckwheat, quinoa. Quinoa you do in Ekadasi time. And of course, I said you can drink milk, pure milk. I think there is a company in Melbourne who actually make karma-free milk in the way they treat the cows very well. They only take that much milk that they can take and they give the rest to the calf. They bring the calf with her. So many of the vegan people who are actually upset with the way cows in dairies are treated. Do you know how they treat dairy animals? They milk them till they give about 30-40 liters till they are almost dead for the day. So much they milk. And the calf, they don't keep the calf. They give some hormones and other things to the cow to make the milk come. So you really need to go to a place where the cows are treated well. And there is one place, but the milk is not cheap. I think they charge about $10 for 2 liters. But it is available in our temple and a few other places around Sydney and Melbourne. So milk will give you a lot of protein, for example. Would that answer the question? And again, another thing is you get your daily RDIs by taking these things. But if you take too much of protein, it's not good. The body cannot assimilate it. And when it cannot assimilate it, you start getting things like even cancer. Cancer is nothing but the overgrowth of cells. So I'm told that simply by consuming protein whey concentrate, you get a lot of protein. So just don't overdo the protein. You don't need it more than a particular amount. I think you get your RDI required daily intake, and keep it less. Don't overdo it. You will get your protein.
Thanks, Prabhuji, for taking through this question. So the next question is by Dev. How one always remind to own mind about Atma and stay focused on how to live life detached and still able to live social life?
Yeah. So chanting the Maha Mantra, which is what we've been taught, and trying to have 4 regulative principles. I'll tell you what the 4 regulative principles are. No meat eating of any kind, includes eggs and all these things. No illicit relationship. So if you have a wife, treat her as your best friend, and a husband, if there's a good husband, be a real good couple to the end of your life. Going to somebody else is not going to really give you a better life, because after a little while things will go back to square one. So it's to live a life like that. Don't go to do any gambling. Gambling, if you really have to have money, if money has to come to you, it will come to you. It will break the roof and Krishna will give it to you. Sometimes he feels you're not needing it. If you have $1 million and every day you only have one meal and you have a nice bed and you have power and everything else and home, what are you going to do with the rest of the money? Just keeping it for yourself. So you don't need to gamble away what little money you have to try and think you want more money. If that money has to come, it will come. And don't take any kind of intoxicating material like wines or beers and the type of intoxicating drinks. They're just going to take your consciousness away. And if you want your Atman, your soul, to remain in good happiness within your body is a temple of your soul. Try to avoid these four things and chant the mantra, the Mahamantra. The Mahamantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Do this. Now, devotees like me, we chant on a bead, which is tulsi bead in the bead bag. We count. We go 108 times around the one mala, as it's called, and we do that 16 rounds. We have been asked by our guru to chant 16 rounds in a day. And if you do that chanting of the Mahamantra on a bead, you would basically have said 108 times 16 rounds of Hare Krishna. You have actually reached out to Krishna. Whenever you wake up first thing in the morning, remember we've been created in this world. Pray to him. And then your life, the day will be fantastic. Every day is a new day. Don't forget to, just like how we eat, thank him for the day. And your life will be sublime. And you'll be detached. You'll be detached from all the problems. You do your duty. Leave the result to Krishna. Leave the result to the Creator. He who has created us will make us fine. If egg is produced by free-range chicken with organic diet, is it better to eat? No. Egg is not, it's actually a young of a creature. You're taking a life away by eating an egg. Do you think your life is more important than that of the little chicken? Whether it is free roaming chicken or any chicken, best is don't give them the birth. Because when you eat a chicken, you cannot offer it to Krishna. If you cannot offer it to Krishna, it is not prasadam. And if you take that, it is sin. So when you take sin, you have karma. Karma means you have to go through the same thing in another life. And there are 8,400,000 species that you will come back as before you can come back to a human body. The human body is the most beautiful body ever given. Make use of it. Only the human thinks about going to a temple, not an animal. And we are not going to be born again as another human. Better we never been born again. So please think like that. So don't consume any animal because you cannot offer it to Krishna. You can offer only patram, pushpam, palam, toyam. That is what does the Bhagavad Gita say. So when the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita is one of the holiest of Hindu scriptures. Krishna has said this. Just follow it. You will find life sublime. I know a person, I don't know if he's here. His name was Naresh. I don't know if he joined. If he did, he can put his hands up.
Thank
I
you,
was arguing with someone about how vegetarian diet, that thing went away. Can you bring it up again? Shashank?
Hello?
You can pick up Shashank's question, please.
Yeah, I was talking to someone like the vegetarian diet is better, but they said that they are eating farm produced animals which are
Yeah.
which are meant for meat. That's their only purpose for existence. So I didn't understand this logic. Like,
They are talking out of ignorance, Shashank. That is why we are having this session, so that we can get some intelligence, information. and to understand as human beings how intelligent we are, how we can discern for a better life, how we can avoid killing an animal. Do you know how an animal would feel when you kill it? And then, when the day of reckoning comes for us, we all have to die one day, okay? In Kali Yuga, we only live 100 years maximum. Most of us die 60, 70, 80 years, we're gone. But the day of dying, when it comes, you don't die immediately. We are told about how Yama appears, or his Yamadutas appear, and they want to pull the soul away from the body. And it is not easy to try. And that time when you say, please don't do this to me because it's coming to us. He says, but did you have mercy? You didn't mind killing that creature which was free roaming.
So
Why do
killing,
you want mercy now? So
by
we have to be merciful.
so by
It's called
killing,
daya.
yeah, by killing it's intentional killing, right? Because some
Yes.
animals can get, we can walk on them like microorganisms, small animals, ants. We
Yes.
don't do it intentionally. So
Yeah.
intentional is bad, not unintentional.
No, everything is bad. Even non-intentional is bad. That's why when you go to the temple, you say, please, my Lord, forgive me for all that I did intentionally and unintentionally. Please
Yeah,
forgive me for that. For I stand on the ant on the way. I never knew. Please forgive me for that. And when we ask that forgiveness, we are measured on what we have done. Again, I'm only talking spiritual in these things.
okay, yeah, I understand. I understand you.
Yeah. Dash Sadar has raised hand. Yeah, please, Dash.
Just wanted to know your opinion on those non-vegetarians who say that if everyone on this earth becomes vegetarian, there won't be enough food, there won't be enough crops, there won't be enough grains. I mean, they have that argument in their favor. They say that why they don't want to become vegetarian.
Yeah, I know.
What is
See,
your
to
take
become a
on that?
vegetarian is not easy, Dash. It's not easy. But when the person who was trying to talk, I asked him to even attend the call because he was a non-vegetarian of the paramount kind. He can't live without his meat. He would demand for it. If he smells it somewhere, he'd say to his wife or mother, cook it for me now. And he gave it up. This guy had a meteoric rise in his life because he gave up. He did such a great sacrifice. But for that, you need that little thought. If you get the mercy, spiritual mercy from our Creator, only that will bring somebody out of such probably ignorant thing of saying, okay, if everybody becomes vegetarian, there won't be enough. Of course, you're feeding all these cows, goats. How much of land do you think you need for that? It seems 30% of the earth is only meant to feed these cows and goats so that they feed us. That much land is available. And they are today, many of the vegetables are being done indoors. There are indoor farms and vertical farms. So creating food, vegetable food, is not a problem at all. So I think somebody should write a book on that to enlighten them even more. But in a few words, for me to just enlighten today, I would say it's far, far easier to produce far, far more food for human consumption in terms of plant material than it is to feed so many of these other animals and give them even water to drink. That many animals need not be created. You won't have billions and billions of cows slaughtered every day. In fact, they say if you go to a slaughterhouse and see them slaughtering the cow or the goat or whatever the animal, even the chicken, you won't eat. I couldn't work in a zoology lab to become a doctor. I couldn't take it. How we were killing those animals for us to learn more. It's when you practically do it, and unless you become a butcher, and even a butcher, we have a butcher in our temple. One day he came as a Western Prabhu, elevated person now. And I said, what were you? He said, I was a butcher. And now I'm shuddering that I was a butcher. So We need to get that strength to do it.